It's crazy what people do in relationships. From a young age, we have been programmed to believe certain myths about dating, relationship, and marriage. It's time we learnt the truth and position ourselves for happier relationships. I'm Gurjit Rana, and I empower women who feel trapped by their life, marriage, and family to become powerful, confident, and expressive in creating loving relationships. So I'm assuming right now you have a relationship or a marriage challenge that you're not sure on how to resolve. And what more, it isn't a nice feeling or something that you're coping with. Perhaps you're not even in a relationship right now. Now, often we get caught up in the emotion, the pain, and what we regard as the bad experience and even trauma of it all. And as we play into that, we forget to actually deal with it, and we try and suppress it, or worse still, just go and cry it out on our own. It's not like losing weight, where after all you kind of know that you need to exercise more often and eat healthily. Yet you still go and have a PT, a personal trainer, to support you. What do you do in relationships? Well, today I'm going to first of all debunk 5 of the biggest myths out there to do with relationships, and also share with you what are the 5 negative emotions that are driving those myths. Marriage is a compromise. The emotion behind it is all about fear. This is the number 1 factor of all relationships. It appears like your whole freedom will be taken away and you will be what I call, quote unquote, compromising, aka not having it your way. What fear actually is a false experience appearing as reality. Hence, it's not even true. Think about it. Marriage is a partnership. It's when 2 people are agreeing to fulfill on a future of both people's needs. But what often happens is we get into relationships and we don't communicate these needs. They remain uncommunicated, withheld, and therefore they turn into letdowns because they become expectations that are not being met. And as they get overlooked time and time again, one of you feels like, I'm always the one that has to compromise. And of course, if you go and share it with your friends and family, what do they say? Well, the woman always has to back down. She's got to be the one that's got to compromise. And if you really stop and look at it, what the compromise is your partner's doing one thing and you feel you're not able to do another. What you're really not doing is communicating and sharing with each other what you truly want. And therefore, it can appear like a demand or an expectation rather than communication. What this myth is really about is playing for each other to be in a win-win situation, to keep coming up with an idea that's not your way or my way, but really our way, so that there is no compromise, there's just win-win. Myth number 2, relationships are meant to be 50-50. And what's the emotion behind that? It's all about sadness. Sadness because I have to put in more than you, or you're putting in less than I'm expecting again. It's the classic case of, I thought this relationship was 50-50, that equals 100. This myth comes from the saying, you complete me and I'm only half the person without you. But together we're whole and complete. We signed a contract called this marriage certificate. And where does it say bring only 50% of yourself? Or I'm only going to show up 50% of the time? The reality is you choosing as an individual to show up 100% every single day, unconditional to whether your partner shows up or not. You show up as your authentic self, allowing each other to grow and evolve together. Because when you show up, your partner will show up. Anything less just gives rise to this sadness, a sense of I'm doing it all on my own, I'm abandoned, I've got no one to help me. You were born 100% whole and complete as an individual. As 2 people come together, you are a synergetic energy that work together to create the relationship that you want. That's 100% complete. I can't trust him or her. This is driven by the emotion of hurt. This myth is easy. It's not him or her you can't trust, it's yourself. Imagine when a child learns to walk, they take a step, they fall over. They stand up, they take a step, and they fall over, and so on. But I completely understand that where you're at right now, you just feel you've taken one too many steps, you've fallen over one too many times, and now you're just refusing to get back up. You're putting your trust out there and testing your partner again and again and again. You set yourself up not to fall, but to fail. That's right, you're up to fail, because it's this failure that you're not dealing with, and hence you're not trusting yourself to succeed. Trust is willing to take a risk, be invalidated, have your heart broken again and again until the light can come through. A quote by Rumi. Now, it's letting go of all the hurt so that you can be confident in yourself, trust you first. Then you can choose whether you want to be right or you want to be happy, and you can start trusting other people once again. Myth number 4, they will never change, or he will never change, and it's all coming from anger. It's one of the most common challenges I see that someone is going through, and it's called the power struggle of any issue, to do with your husband, to do with your in-laws, heck, even your boss. You want it to be a certain way. Have it that they are beyond capable of changing. They are fixed in their ways. Of course, they're never going to change. You think back to the time period of what I call your honeymoon, or the first time you get a job, where you're super excited, you're motivated, you're energized, and you can't wait to wake up and get started, or be there for that person, or do things for them. And along the way, you're appreciated, and someone's saying thank you to you all the time, they're asking your opinion. In fact, they're even giving you responsibility. And then there'll come a point when they start criticizing you, or take it for granted of the things you're doing. And again, this is the anger that's continuing to build up. Why don't you appreciate me? I'm doing so much for you. And what you're not getting back is the recognition, the love, the attention, that value that you once had with them. But it gets worse from here. What you're really fighting for is your independence and your autonomy once again. This power struggle stage is where you're looking to reclaim a number of identities that you're so attached to. Now, does this sound familiar? Because you're in this anger with your partner or with your boss or whoever, what happens is you have these ongoing misunderstandings from communication, or just a feeling of constant anxiety. There's a tension between the two of you, leading to criticism at anything and everything. There may be a loss of intimacy or a loss of trust. You're feeling like you've lost your sense of worth. Who are you anymore? All you see yourself is either a worker, or just a mother, or just a person that's here to help other people. Who are you? For whatever your situation is, I can assure you, how you're doing one relationship is how you're doing every relationship. So yes, other people can change, but it's not about them. It's about whether you're willing to transform. Because what you hold in here, you can bring out here. And if you choose to hold in here that people are transformable and you are transformable, you'll penetrate it back out here in your real reality. Now, when that happens, what can it bring? That's what brings back the joy, the tender moments that you have lost experiencing from your past. Myth number 5, love will last forever. You see, most of us have this misconception that love is all you need to make your marriage work. And then we carry the emotion of guilt that comes with it when we're not in love with the people we say we are. Now imagine, if you've had an arranged marriage, I can imagine that you're constantly going around thinking, I'm not in love with this person. Or you feel like a lot of resentment, anger and bitterness, that there's these girls that are walking around being in love, feeling loved, and you just constantly have this void that's going on, that you don't have it, this lack. And what sometimes they're the women that have had love marriages that go around thinking, oh my God, I should be so in love. I just feel guilty because I'm not. I've fallen out of love. The reality is, what you perceive love to be isn't true. Love is made up of 4 letters, and those letters is what matters. Love is listening to your partner, listening to you. observing what's going on in your marriage, handling objections, looking at opportunities. V, forgiveness. That's a huge one that needs to come into your marriage, when you're willing to give up making everybody else wrong and just be willing to forgive and come from love. And expression, which is E, expressing with love, instead of communicating in a way that continues to build up this anger, this tension, this resentment, the bitterness. You see, love is not something that just happens. It's something you're going to invest in time and time again. It's not a tangible quality that I can say, hey, here it is. But it's the myth that we all have, that love is all you need. But love will come from everything that you're doing, that you have, and that you're willing to be. When you show up 100% of the time, when you show up for win-win, when you show up, that's when love can be. I'm Gurjit Rana, and hopefully I have debunked some of the most common relationship myths out there and demonstrated that there's an entire field of transformation dedicated to improving your relationships. Now, the more adversity you deal with, the more resilient you become in relationships. See, I was that person that didn't like dealing with adversity. I was the one that avoided conflict. What do you do when the conflict continues to show up? Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you've been disrespected, treated like a doormat, or someone is just not respecting your boundaries? And you freeze, you go quiet, you don't say anything, and then for hours you beat yourself up thinking, I wish I stood up for myself. And you replay the scene in your head over and over again. And actually you then come up with the perfect comeback, know that you should have said this or done that, and now you're kicking yourself. Does that sound familiar? The worst part is you do that again and again. That is your average Monday for many people after a long weekend with their partner. You see, having the confidence, the strength, and the courage to stick up for yourself when you feel like you've been mistreated is not only freaking difficult, it's actually a skill. And my job is to leave someone like yourself loving others more than ever before, be deeply connected in new ways to handle conflict, and always being fully expressed with love. Relationship Reset is a program that I will teach you on how to develop more courage, confidence, and resilience to navigate your way through your relationships. So here's what I want you to do. You'll find a link below. Please click on that and I'll join you soon in our next webinar.